So, welcome this morning and thank you for joining us. It's very special to be here with Pedro and to be here with Will, who've come from the Tiwi Islands and spent this week here in Hong Kong. Pedro, as Stephanie said, is a Tiwi man from the islands in the far northern territory of Australia. And we welcome him here today to conversations where he will share some of the songlines of his family and people. These songs are intimately connected to the ancient and living culture of the Tiwi people and the contemporary art that Pedro produces as a celebration of this heritage. As Pedro has often said of his artwork, the song, the dance, and the body painting connects to the art I make and also connects to the land. Pedro's country is Goose Creek, a remote wetland area east of his homeland in Milikapiti. It is an estuarine hunting ground and opens up to the beautiful Arafuna and Timor seas. He inherited these lands from his father's family. His tribe is White Cockatoo, and he connected to this family group through his mother's family. Pedro's dance is Brolga, and this is a dance where he performs at ceremonies that has been given to him by his father's grandfather. Pedro.
Jilamara.
Gelati, Namara, Anaba, Gelati, Irikabe, or
Tirati.
Ongara, or Ongoji, Ongoji, you
Dam.
Mana,
Namar. Sing.
Qua,
Oh, Yamaroi. Yamaroi. Oh, Bangkolo Tangkol map. Demperat Bangkolo Ploro Tangkol map petroleum. 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 Yeah, do what you need, 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 do what you need. Yeah. This song was my grandfather's song. My song, dance, comes from my family, grandfather, also my father. From generation to generation, as a singer, also a dancer, I take part in all the ceremony, Kulama also ceremony, Yoi. So, this song from Amne, Pukumani, ornate. That's a song. The song connects to land, Bragbun, land, Bragbun bin land. That's a song. Sometimes I go to my country, visit my country, go fishing, hunting, wallaby, macbogos, sometimes fishing. But it's a long way from Milikapiti. Also I drive by boat, some drive by car. Maria. Also, I have another song from my grandfather's song. This song also connected to land, Brakbuni. Also my song, my brother, my sister, my brother, all my niece, nephew, they all come together, connected to the land. Song, dance, they all come together, sing the song. Back home, I sing all song, my niece, nephew, also my grandson. I have a little grandson back home, also I'm teaching him. Dance, sing, listen to the song, how you connect Brakbun, land, from saltwater being Brakbun, land coming, winger, for the water coming, meet together.
Mana. Winger is salt water. Winger means salt water. You gonna sing the tide song?
Oh, this is a song about my grandson's song. My grandson, I never seen my grandson, but my song like from my grandmother. My grandmother told me how to sing my grandson's song. I'm gonna make grandfather my language. Mother. This song also one day my grandfather he lives in Paru, from Paru.
Paru is a region of Melville Island, like on the southern side of Melville Island.
Also, my grandfather used to walk from Paru, Picatamo, Monterey country. Also, my grandfather, you up in the tree, collecting sugar bag. Sugar bag, that's why his name is Sugar Bag, my grandfather. So, you have to eat sugar bag in a bucket. Here, this big machine. Here, this big machine. Hey, what's happening? I think probably building a road. Building a road. So, my grandfather started singing. Put on thing, all the man. Put on thing, all the man. Put on thing, all the man. Come on, put out the crumble. Put on thing, all the man. Come on, put out the crumble. Put on thing, all the man. Come on, put out the crumble. Put on thing, all the man. Pull him, pull him, So, that song, my money, made the song as a big machine, making a road. Actually, you got a road. Back home, now I'm walking, got a road, Babuka, Prima, been road. So, that song, my brothers, my sister, other brother, all my nephew, all come together. That song. How to connect from money, my money. It's a singer, dancer, same like me. So that song all connect. Brakbun, land, winger. sorrow. So today I sing the song. Even though my grandfather passed for a long time, but I know the song. I sing song. My niece, nephew, grandson, also my brother's sister, we will share the song together.
Do you want to watch the film?
You want to sing again or Todd song? Todd song or do you like it?
I don't. Third dance. This old man, big Jordan, little boy, as a column, long time garden pond, Panari. The old man is sing. He said, little boy, come here. And the little boy, Adam, he sing. Then he said, one day, I'm going to sing this song. This third dance, the third's going out, third's come in. Like water going out, water come in. Lampone otamat, lampone otamata, 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 lampone otamata. Lamponeotamat, Lamponeotam, Lamponeotamat, Lamponeotamat, Lamponeotam, Lamponeotam. It's a woman. A song from me. And then the song from me to dance back home.
Maybe we'll watch the film. Please give Pedro a round of applause. We have a film we'd like to share with you, and then we'll go into a conversation. If we can roll the film.
I think working with the digital, also the video camera, keep culture alive and strong, so next generation families will understand. Every art dancing on country. It's the first time really good having this. Before we brought all this video up, and it was really good for each individual artist to choose which way they want to dance with their totem. So it was really good and good to bring it up here and to share that here in Sydney. All the artists really felt really good. So they managed to choose which way they want to dance. So when we had people coming in looking, and they was all dancing their own totems. So each one of us, we all got different totems. And we got different
areas of our country, but we still manage to do all the recording back at home, and yeah, so it's really good.
My name is Colin Heenan Puntaramerri. I am Tiwi and Majara Walpri Mirinbata. Even though New Age technology is good, at the same time it's kind of a curse to our people because a lot of them are just stuck on their phones, whatever device. So it just goes back to trying to use modern technology, what's already distracting our people, to try and preserve it, but also connect to the younger generation. So then they can start engaging with our culture and language, our dance, and then they can start being the drive. You know, they can take up the mantle and they'll be the one to push it, hopefully, in the future.
I think the camera, the sound, each artist dancing their own totem. Oh, totem is like your ownership of the dance, also ownership of the song. My children, Bolga, Hebrew, I have a lot of Bolga at my country. There's a lot of birds on my country, but Bolga is always there. Bolga is my totem, my dance.
My totem is L, and that's why I like carve a lot of L, and that's what I like doing here at the art center.
My name is Janice Murray, and my country is Impanari. My totem is turtle. That's where a lot of turtles there too. They lay eggs.
I'm Relin Kerner. My country is Zamlampi. Everybody go hunting there, go look for buffaloes, go camping at the beach, landing. You get a lot of turtles and fish.
This is really important. So pass on knowledge, online, our culture never goes away. Stays back home. So young generation, family, like my grandson, I have a grandson back home. Hopefully one day, hopefully you become an artist, dancer, also a singer. Keep my culture alive. So next generation family behind can come behind and follow us.
Everyone's got a lot to learn from each other, whether it's young and old, or city people and community people. So hopefully building different gaps and bringing people together is our way forward, and then trying to preserve something that's ancient and then bringing it into a new light. Like even our dances itself, something happens in history, we mark it within our song lines or in our dances, whether it is the coming of sailing boats from the Macassans, whether it is the introduction of buffalo, pigs, horses, all of that is recorded through our history of song and dance. And hopefully with this new medium, this new technology, we can keep doing that, keep preserving, keep telling the story.
Mourning. Punure mananga. Urungora. Amkura matakulun. Mourning. Punure mananga. Urungora. Mananga puna urungora. Song, dance from my father and grandfather. My skin group and my tribe comes from my mother. I never get my land from my mother. I got from my father. The only thing I got is from my mother and my mother's mother, which is my manango. It's my tribe, my imunga. Yeah, Mlobrunla. I am white cockatoo. That is my tribe. My songline comes from my father, my grandfather, and also my great grandfather. Songline is different, everyone's different, and they have meaning. Songlines are really important. Also singing and dancing and making, doing painting connects together. My father married my mother, got in quite a long time. Then it was through clan family. This is your right skin, this is your wrong skin. So my father and mother was right skin. Long time, I think they had ceremony when married, but now when mission came to the island, we have priests, we go to church, and we sing hymns, and so not so much towards the songline, but it's relates to the body painting. It's the design that I paint is on canvas, but some designs are different towards body painting, face painting, and in the back. Tiwi culture, my culture is really completely different to mainland, Indigenous Australian. My other grandfather, his youngest brother, Karib, he went out hunting in the bush and he heard big bulldozer. He thought, what is this big machine? So my grandfather used to walk from Pukumani all the way to Paro, shortcut. And that's why he got this song of, made this song of bulldozer. Don't think that come on, double tap truck rumble. Come on, double tap truck rumble. Don't think that come on, double tap truck rumble. Don't think that don't think don't go to me. Oh, yeah, and then put out some for my claim water, Pulimanga program. A Vananga, Pulimanga.
Okay. We wanted to be able to show you the films today so you'd have a bit of context for where Pedro comes from and the context for Milikapiti and the Tiwi Islands. Just by a bit of background about how this presentation by Pedro has come to be in Encounters. It's a great privilege to be here with Will Heathcote, who's come from Jilamara Arts and Crafts, which he lives and works up there with his wife Hannah and their family, with the community, an incredible community of 500 people. I first went to visit you, Pedro, in 2007 we met. I got to get in a little 4-seater plane out of Darwin and fly across the Arafuna Sea about 2 hours. Big clouds, bit of rain, come in on a dirt air track. You arrive, there's just a dirt runway, and come pick me up in a truck at the airport, which is a shed, and you took me fishing. And I've probably been up to see you there about 6 times over the past 17 years. And it's an amazing art centre. Jilamara was founded in 1989. They have studios for painting, for carving, for screen printing. They have a museum. It's an Aboriginal-led board, of which Pedro is a part, who oversee the art centre and support safe spaces and cultural knowledge and learning and language for children and community. And the poles that you're showing here in Encounters, Pedro, you made them in 2019 for Niran and the Tatani pole. Do you want to tell us a bit about the Tatani pole that you were making for Niran and the exhibition here in the Pukumani?
In Sydney.
Yeah.
Then Paul went to Sydney. I think Brooke Andrew was there.
Brooke Andrew, yeah.
But I think the poles was a car from Patrick. Patrick owned Sydney Harbour. Also, he carved the pole. Also, painted the pole. Madeline. Jimbre.
There they are.
That's them at the art centre before they left. Do you want to talk about the ochre colours, or a little bit maybe about the Pukumani ceremony and that first initial, like the first ceremony where family commissioned the poles to be made?
I think after the ceremony, or primary, I think people were commissioned. Make Timothy Paul for ceremony. Long time, there's no money. Only weapons, food, pumpkin, pumpkin, tokoinga. They get presents for them, workers. But now, got money, so every summer, you have money, pay the workers, make poles. Timothy for Makatangari. So, you all come together, like little ceremony. Andranganoo, Yoi. So we all come together. Sing at Orpheus, sing at start Yoi. So give them eggs, later also water. Eggs for the in-laws, also later make box or tauka. Then to God in the bush, cut them poles, came back to the ceremony, carved, also burnt the pole in the fire, carved, painted.
I think Pedro's describing this really small initial ceremony that happens at the beginning of the Pukumani period, where immediate family and in-laws come together, and they've been doing it. Palangari means like from old times, and yeah, this gift of an axe and a rock of ochre and fire to the in-laws is a commissioning gesture to get them to go away and make the poles for the ceremony and prepare the ceremony ground. And what I find really interesting as a non-Tiwi person who's moved to Milikapiti is that this gifting of the rock of ochre, and this in relation to the works that it encounters, this gifting of a rock of ochre to go and prepare the poles and decorate them, you know, that grinding and preparation of earth colours is such an important part of the ceremonial culture, and I think by extension is a really important part of the art making and remains an important part to this day. And you'll see the work in the encounters section is all made with ochres, earth pigments, that are ground and burnt into red, yellow and white.
And I mean, this installation was a very special commission to get the sort of 20 poles that you're seeing here in Encounters. It was in 2019 that Brooke Andrew, who was a Wiradjuri Aboriginal artist and curator, Brooke was actually the first Aboriginal artist to present in any Art Basel Hong Kong in Encounters, and for any Art Basel in the world, with a presentation in 2015, a commission I did with him. And Brooke went on to curate the first Biennale of Sydney, led by an Aboriginal artist and curator. It was titled Niran, which is a Wiradjuri word for edge. And Brooke has a very dear relationship with Pedro and a very deep kinship with the community up on Tiwi. And he commissioned and worked with Jilamara on these 20 poles. I was up there in Tiwi in 2019 and I saw the poles that you see in the photograph lying on the floor in the museum, and they were so beautiful. And they came to Sydney to the Museum of Contemporary Art. They opened in March 2020 for 5 days, and then the world closed because of COVID. And the poles sat in the museum for 3 months with no people, and then they were able to open briefly before they were put away again. But we really wanted to get the poles out and have them meet new people. And this is the first time the poles have been in the world again here in Hong Kong. And it's been really special because we thought that Hong Kong would understand, you know, that mourning is more than the death of a person at the moment that they pass, but the period of mourning is something that takes time in the life of the living. And these poles are about how we honour life through cycles of time. And having the poles here has been a real gift, and to have them in the world to meet all of you. Yeah.
Thank you, Alexie. Thank you.
And I think looking at these pictures, you know, something, Pedro, that you do in the Art Centre, and being very fortunate to know you now for 17 or 18 years, and being able to watch your practice and how it evolves, and watching how you make art, make not just the poles, but make paintings, make video. You know, how is the Art Centre? What is it like these days? How is the community working together to make art? And what kind of work are you doing? Because you're making more films, more song, more performance, really over the past 10 years. Can you talk a little bit?
It's pretty important to young artists, young people like Brina, Nancy, Coron, my nephew Coron, also Wally. It's good young people to come to the art center work, learn, also work together, work on me, Patrick. So, brain phone, culture alive. Song, dance, bronze art, TV. Rangaram no.
That's our story. Yeah. I think that point about culture being alive is a really good one. I think it was brought up even when you were talking about the Bulldozer song that came up in the film as well, and how Colin talks about, Yoi, which is the Tiwi word for dance, marking moments in history. I think, some people will assume that, songlines in Tiwi are part of these long-standing, unchanging traditions. Do you want to talk a little bit about how these songs or even how the Jilamara, so Jilamara is body paint design, how these, you often tell me about how everyone has their own Jilamara and that, it's inherently innovative and that people change it all the time. Do you want to talk a little bit about how people get their own and how this works in the Art Centre and community?
No, but so every art have their own song. Joy, Maram, what? How you connect? Maragabun from Prangare, long time ago, on the from Prangare on the hour.
From a long time ago until today. Top camp. That's a picture of Pedro's country at Goose Creek.
Pedro, something I really love getting to know and work with the artists like yourself. And we've done a show together in Korea, in Seoul. We showed your video. We've shown your artworks at Art Space, where I used to be director. And you work in so many different ways. And I think sometimes people, they look and they think things are static. They think for 65,000 years of continuous culture for Aboriginal people on the Tiwi Islands and across Australia, the more than 300 nations and languages that existed prior to colonization. They think things stay still in some ways, but they always change, eh? You're always thinking about how to do things differently, and you're allowed to present this work and to rethink the work. And these tutani, they're a new way of thinking about tutani.
Yeah.
They exist through time, but they're not the same at all points in time, eh?
Also, some Ramli, like Songlan, some Songlan are same, some Songlan different. From a long time ago, Amranane, but Songlan sometimes change, sometimes the same, but also you're moving forward, not looking back. So, songland, dance, all connect, but also moving forward. Sometimes three culture is the same, but also moving forward. Dance, song, moving forward.
Yeah. I think it's really important that people know, you know, you've made exhibitions in Berlin. Yoi, which is for dance in Tiwi, was the title of an exhibition at the Museum of the Gropiusbau in Berlin, a big group show curated by Kadir Attia and Brooke Andrew. You had big exhibition in Rome at the Vatican and got to sing. You've had an exhibition in Venice where you performed at the Guggenheim. You know, Tiwi culture and art is moving into museums and institutions. You've been in an exhibition at the Seoul Museum of Art in Korea. You know, you're not just showing in one place. Like, your work is traveling to meet people in different places and showing alongside different artists. And I think this way you think about time, you know, that the time of the past is in the present, but also in the future, and that these times come together. And that's where you connect with artists in encounters like that old lady, Betty Muffler, or young ones like Lu Yang. They're thinking about time in a different way. Can we talk a little bit about like how you think about time?
Sorry. Jilamara. I think time moving forward, songland, dance, never the same again, but already moving forward. Moving forward, like Maramni, songland, also Kulama, James ceremony, but this photo, this songland, Maramni, tell us how to sing, how to dance, how to connect. Also moving forward.
Warangara, Madai.
Also moving. Camera. Warangara means camera language. Warangara means camera. The tone. Recording. Recording. Arts and dancing. Every artist dancing, also recording. The song and the joy.
Yeah, Warangara is in Tiwi, Pedro is saying in Tiwi language, describes the moving image, but the old people also used it to describe moving forward. And that's actually a term that has been used to describe the area of the art centre that is now producing more of these multimedia works that you can see here. This was in Seoul, as Alexie said. But using some of these modern technologies to celebrate some of these more performative, ephemeral parts of the art practices of the Tiwi Islands that do connect to the objects that are made as well in a really close way. Tony, you've often said that the song lines that you've been talking about today and the Yoi, the dance, connects to the Jilamara, the body paint design, connects to the contemporary art that you make. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, how it's all connected?
Jilamara. Jilamara means body painting. Jilamara. Also, Warangara means camera, but also, moving forward. Warangara, man.
I think, and if anyone has any questions, please, I'm just giving you a moment if you want to have a think, but we can ask a couple of questions if someone has them. But I think, Pedro, you know, when you see your work in the world, when you come to places like Hong Kong, or you go to Germany, or you go to many places, and you see Tiwi art in different places, how do you feel? How do you see the audience respond to what you do?
I think when I went to Rome, Vatican, I think the Poles from long time ago, from Tiwi, I think from the mission long time ago, I think so. For me, as a dancer, singer, artist, very important. The Poles in the Vatican also. The Poles in Hong Kong. Hopefully they'll find a new home. Somewhere in Dubai. But I think one day my family will come to Hong Kong or to Rome. This is the port, Jimmy Ora. Airports very important, but very different the ones you have in the back home. The ports are left in the bush, water. The bush, fire gets, bushfire gets, Bagarna gets rain, or the orchids come off. So I think very different as in the ports in the bush, also in the ports here in Vatican, also here in Hong Kong, but in very different as it is now. But I think seeing all same, how you connect from primary today, none. Nga ora jimri. Nga ora. Mara. Jimri ora.
Yeah. I think Pedro's making a really good point and saying a little bit in language that, you know, having these big collections of Tutini, like older over here, like in this faraway place, you know, and that they're different from the ones on the islands for ceremony, I think is a really, really strong point. And it's about this distinction between a contemporary artwork that's here in Encounters that is a celebration of living cultural heritage, and then, you know, symmetry pole, you're saying symmetry, the ones at home. Yeah, that are commissioned for particular people in a family group, and they're left on country as a farewell to a family member, and they're left to return to the earth in this really poetic, beautiful way. Yeah.
I mean, it is very special when you go, if you ever have the opportunity, you should come to Darwin in the Northern Territory in August. There's an amazing Aboriginal Art Award called the National Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Art Awards, of which Pedro has been a recipient in the past, and a festival of Aboriginal art that occurs, and communities from across Australia come together to celebrate ceremony and dance and song. And I think it's really important to, when you go on the Tiwi Islands, when you drive around, you see the Tutani in the landscape in various states as they've returned to Earth, and you're reminded of the time that we live and the time after the time we're no longer here, and how we live with the presence of that. But I do think it is really important to say that I think, over the past 40 years, Jilamara was established in 1989, and over the past 30, 40 years in Australia, there's been a very strong movement towards self-determination of the Aboriginal art centres across Australia, across remote and urban Australia, and some of the most radical and experimental and critical art of our times is coming out of communities across the art centres in Australia. And this work is not just being able to draw off histories and ancestral connection to artistic production. Art is used as evidence of custodianship of country. For when Aboriginal land rights was challenged with the Australian government, it was art and culture that was used as evidence for land rights for Aboriginal people. In Australia, sovereignty was never ceded. The land was never declared with a treaty for the Aboriginal people, and it is because of artists like Pedro and others working across Australia that we can see the evidence of what it is to make art not just through time, but to make art in the times in which we live. And I think that's been really important with having the Tutani here. And over the time I've curated encounters, Aboriginal artists like Andrew Wiradjuri, Miss Yinapingu, Kunamanaram Yinapingu, Namanapu Marumuru White, Tony Albert, Daniel Boyd. These artists are making great work, and an artist like Pedro is making work that is as experimental and critical as all the artists and encounters this year. Does anyone have any questions for us before we begin to wrap up today? Can I see anything out there? Oh yes, there's a question.
Thank you for sharing. I've noticed there are some pattern on the face in the photos. May I know what's the meaning of the pattern? Thank you.
Impota.
Yeah.
Impota, Permatiki, Tokwanga.
I think have Pumdiki, Tokwanga, also Jilamara. Also discuss how to discuss people on the dead. So I have ceremony dance, sing art, dance. So dead people don't reckon who we are. Modern.
They're disguises. So the impota in language means the false feather beard. Tokwanga is the feather ball that you might have seen in the video as well. And Permatiki is the feather headpiece. And then together with really elaborate ochre body designs, Tiwi people disguise themselves from Mopodidi, the spirit of the dead, during the ceremony. So the Pukumani ceremony very much is like a closing out ceremony. Sometimes the poles and associated materials are described as funeral poles, but actually the Pukumani is a closing out ceremony. It happens at the end of the mourning period. And it's believed that when everyone dances, they spend all day dancing around the poles that have been commissioned by the in-laws, and the immediate family get dressed up in the ceremonial ornaments and elaborate body designs. And then at the end of the ceremony, there's this pushing of the spirit back to country in the direction of that person's country. And they believe after the ceremony that that spirit is put to rest. So the disguise is so that the spirit doesn't hang around if they recognise their family members.
Any more questions? One more.
Thanks. I just wanted to see if I understand properly what is being presented. But the poles, from my understanding, are to commemorate someone's life, and they're commissioned by family by handing over the ochre. Then the poles are made, and then there's dancing ceremony to close out this whole process. And also, from what I'm understanding, to commemorate someone's life, it could be one pole or a number of poles. So just getting back to what's on display here in Hong Kong, are they to commemorate, or firstly, is what I've described correct? And then secondly, are the poles here, I think there are 20, do they commemorate any person or people, or are they more decorative or an example of poles?
I think the poles here, decorative here in Hong Kong, also the poles in the water. The one in the water brings the water. The bush, so the one, the poles in Hong Kong, I think, very special also. Show how I make geometry poles, also show culture, dance, songline, also colors. 4 colors were used by painting Jilamara. So the poles are very important for us. Also show other orders from around the world. Our land, our song, culture, and make it poles. Our poles are different from Madeline, but the ones that are Madeline are look different. This one belongs to my people. My people. Oh, Jimmy. Oh, Madeline.
I think on that note, an important point to make is that it was described to me quite early on in my time in the Tiwis that like poles for ceremony, when Pedro's saying for what the poles for the bush are for the bush, the ceremony poles are commissioned for particular somebody is how it was described to me. So they're commissioned as part of this ceremonial practice for a particular somebody, and I think the poles here are an expression of contemporary art that celebrates that cultural heritage,
And I don't think that this work isn't purely decorative, and they're not also examples of a type. They're actually, I think what's really important to think about with the presentation of the works by artists that are working through histories and languages and traditions of material practice and also intergenerational knowledge and forms of inherited kind of practice, is that there's actually this really interesting moment, particularly with global First Nations artists, I would argue, where material practices are being able to be re-examined and rethought, and the relationship with them is being amplified through the ability to make them new in different contexts. And there's a very strong awareness from Pedro and from the artists who are working, and artists like Betty Muffler, who made her painting from Andranganoo, Pitjantjatjara, Yankunytjatjara land for Art Basel Hong Kong, that when they come here, that the meaning is different, that the context and specificity and the understanding of the audience and the connection to this place is going to alter the kind of way in which the work exists through association with a range of other practices through time. And that is a different way of making and thinking. And these works have a very strong conceptual and critical and rigorous kind of underpinning to them. And it is, within the Art Centre, if you ever have the opportunity to go to Darwin for the Aboriginal Art Festival and for the awards, you really see the kind of rigor and determination and the spirit and courage and curiosity and innovation that is actually occurring with First Nations artists across Australia, and it's really energising. And the work is, strong and determined. So I think the work here, you know, it's in a different context. It's been considered for acquisition by a big museum, and when it goes to that museum, it will have a different conversation. And, you know, everything changes in terms of the specifics of place and time. But I think with presenting the tatani here that have existed in time, in memoriam, you know, that is really such a gift. I think we're out of time today. Did you want to sing one last song before we go?
This old lady, Paul's mother, Rachel, my sister, she passed away a couple of days ago, but she told me this song, have connect, have culture, three culture, also working together. Morai, Tiwi, working together. Moran traveler, Poranti, Mazingai, Moran traveler. Moran traveler, Porangi, Mazingar, Monangami, Moran. Marreke, Moranti, Mateki, Orangai. Moran traveler, Poranti, Mateki, Montangami, Moti. Poranti, Mateki, Maranga, Mateki, Korang. Paranto, Moran traveler, Poranti, Mateki, Marangari. Politica, Matenke, Mother, Paragonti, Rangara, Maratu, Rangara, Matemberg, Rangara, Mateki, Rangara. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And that was the first Aboriginal language-led art public program in the history of Art Basel in 53 years. So can we give Pedro one more round of applause? And just one thing, if you want to know more, the Southern China Morning Post, they flew to Tiwi and did a big feature a couple of days ago in the newspaper. And you can look it up online if you'd like more information as well. We just wanted to share that. Thanks for coming and have a great day. Thank you for being here.